This is me reviewing a wheelchair toy that I got from K-Mart. All right, first thing, let's start with the frame. The frame is like a rigid frame, so it doesn't fold like this, but it's got like this weird elevating leg rest that don't exactly swing up and out of the way. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, but it looks like we're in some sort of rigid frame device. The casters are actually weird. The casters are actually in reverse. It looks like he's going backwards. Whoop. Now, in terms of the setup, the lower leg length is really, really close to the ground. You can see his feet are almost dragging on the ground. Now, generally, you'd want about 2 or 3 inches of space. So every time you're going up hills or gutters and stuff, you don't want your feet to like scrape along things. So to do that, we wouldn't just lift the foot plates up, because if we lifted the foot plates up, then he wouldn't get good femoral loading, which is actually getting good loading over here. So good pressure distribution across the cushion. So if we went like that, that would be bad. So what we'd actually do is lift the front seat to floor height up a bit more, so we get a bit more clearance under his feet. In terms of his seat depth, it's not too bad. I mean, in proportion, it's probably a bit of too much space between his knee crease and the cushion. To get more surface contact for better pressure redistribution, you'd want that to come maybe an inch in proportion, a foot more forward, unless he was someone who really liked to tuck his legs in, to which case that would be fine. So I'd lift the front seat to floor height a bit more like that, but you can sort of see his wheel axis over here. He wouldn't really get a good push stroke having this little wheel axis. This middle finger kind of wants to be around here in the middle of the axle. So when he pushes, he can get the full range. Right now, he's only got a little bit of range, and that's going to be hard on his shoulders, poor guy. Oh. In terms of accessories, he does have like some armrests over here, which are great, but the armrest, you wouldn't really have on an active wheelchair because they add a bit of weight unless he's doing like a standing transfer. But the armrests are kind of being used as side guards because they're not really going to be at his elbow height. So if you are going to have armrests, they would need to be up here. But if you're self-propelling, it's not common that you would have armrests because they get in the way, they add weight. So let's just pretend these are side guards, which are designed to stop his jacket and his clothes from getting caught into the wheel and just keep the chair a bit more snug. Spinning him around, and we can see his back is probably at a pretty good height. So backrest height for an active user, so someone who's pushing, you want to make sure it clears the scapula. So if it's too high, then it's going to impede their ability to push back. Too low and it might be uncomfortable. So I think a little bit lower on this would be good, but I like the design where it's kind of like this and that. This looks like it's meant to be a headrest. I don't know what that is, but backrest would usually be one piece, and it would have generally some shoulder cutouts for them to be able to push. And push handles are not uncommon. You know, most people, you might have like fold down push handles so they get out of the way. Some people don't want push handles at all. But if they are active users or if they need to be pushed a lot more, then you might have push handles that come up higher, but that still clear the scapula so they don't get in the way. In terms of his seating, he does have, it's just a toy, right? I mean, sitting, he does look like he's got a little bit of scoliosis on there, but that could just be the way he's positioned. So sometimes even when people sit in the chair, it's just the way they're positioned. So now he's sitting a bit better. His head is pretty even. So what I would generally do is look at his hips. If his hips are even, then that's good. Then I would go to check his legs, make sure his legs are all fine. There's no like twisting or things going on in there, but prioritize the hips, then look at the legs, then come up to the torso, and his torso is looking good. And I can see that by his shoulders being relatively even. And then you check his head, and his head looks pretty good over there. But not bad, K-Mart. Basically, this chair is great. What I would do is just lift the front seat to floor height, drop the rear seat to floor height so he had better wheel access over here. I would change these armrests for side guards. I would have these leg rests probably a bit more tucked in to reduce the overall length of the chair. I would have the backrest be one piece and a little bit lower to get the scap cut out. I would have his seat depth a bit longer. And doesn't he look like me?